This is lesson 10.3, triangles. Some vocabulary that we'll start out with: the sum of the interior angles in any triangle is 180 degrees. So again, all the inside angles, the three inside angles, have to add up to 180 degrees on any triangle. Next, the sum of the exterior angles in any triangle is 360 degrees. And we'll talk about exterior angles here in a little while. So make sure you write these down. Classifying triangles by angles. Write this down also. An acute triangle has three acute angles. A right triangle has one right angle. And an obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle. Doesn't matter, for instance, on the right triangle, doesn't matter what the other two are. If it has one right angle, it's considered a right triangle. And on the same thing on obtuse triangle. If it has one obtuse angle, it's considered an obtuse triangle. Example, find the value of the x in the triangle. So again, all three interior angles, or angles inside, have to add up to 180 degrees. So to find the missing angle, if you know two of them, you can add those two together. So 109 degrees. If you subtract that from 180, 71 degrees. So the x equals 71 degrees. Again, all three have to add up to 180. Now we're going to classify triangles by sides. An equilateral triangle has three congruent sides, which also they have three congruent angles. An isosceles triangle has at least two congruent angles, also two congruent sides, also has two congruent angles. A scalene triangle has no congruent sides, therefore also has no congruent angles. An example, let me see if I can pull this up just a little. The angles opposite congruent sides in a triangle are congruent. The arcs in the triangle show that the angles are congruent. So if this side and this side are congruent, that means the opposite angles of those two are also congruent. Next, if all three sides are congruent, that means all three angles are congruent also. Now let's talk about interior and exterior angles. The three angles of any triangle are called interior angles. The sides of a triangle can be extended to form angles outside the triangle that are adjacent and supplementary to the interior angles. These angles are called exterior angles. You can use the measures of interior angles to find the measures of exterior angles. So again, these interior angles all have exterior angles. In the interior and the exterior angles, it makes they are adjacent and they are supplementary. So they both have to add up to 180, the interior and the exterior. So we're going to find the value of y in the figure. So the three interior angles, 55, 35, and this is 90 degrees. So we're looking at this interior and this exterior. So again, these two angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So if you take 180 and subtract the 35, 145 degrees. So y is 145 degrees. So that's how you find the measure of the exterior angle if you know the interior. Next, find the value of x or y. So these, again, all three angles have to add up to 180. So 43 and 79, 12, 122 degrees. So 180 minus 122, 22. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 2 is 5. 58 degrees. So x equals 58 degrees. Okay, now you have an exterior angle. Well, the interior is 34, and you know that the exterior and the interior are have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 34. 10 minus 4 is 6. 7 minus 3 is 4. 146 degrees. So y is 146 degrees. Okay. Next. To finish up, we're going to classify triangles by its angle measures. So in this case, you got a 40, 60, 80. Those are all acute. So this would be an acute triangle. 45, 35, and 100. Since 100 is obtuse, that makes this an obtuse triangle. Then you have 37 degrees, 53 degrees, and 90 degrees. Since this is 90 degrees, this makes this a right triangle. Now we're going to classify by its side lengths. 3, 2, and 2. Since the two of them are congruent, that makes it an isosceles triangle. Isosceles. Spell it correctly. Next, you've got a 6, 15, and 18. They're all different. Makes it a scalene. Makes it a scalene triangle. And on 11, 17, 17, and 17, that makes it an equilateral. Equilateral. Okay, and going back, remember on isosceles, if two sides are congruent, then their opposite angles are congruent also. Scalene, if none of that means none of the sides are congruent, so none of the angles are congruent. 11, since all three of these sides are congruent, then all three angles are congruent also. So this concludes our lesson on triangles.